In the heart of the Middle East lies a conflict that has spanned centuries, shaped nations and defined countless lives. This is the Israeli Palestinian conflict, a tapestry woven with the threads of history, politics, religion and human rights. It's a story that has been told, retold and told again, each time revealing new layers of complexity. Now let's rewind the clock to the year 1799. The world was in the grip of the French Revolution, and a certain General Bonaparte was making waves across Europe and beyond. But Napoleon Bonaparte wasn't just a military man. He was also a man with a vision that extended all the way to the Middle East, to a land known as Palestine. In a move that surprised many, Napoleon extended an offer to the Jews. He promised them a homeland in Palestine, a place where they could live, grow and prosper. This was a significant moment, not just because of the offer itself, but because of what it represented. It was a recognition of the Jewish people's long-standing connection to Palestine, a connection that dated back thousands of years. But why did Napoleon do this? Well, his motivations were likely a mix of the political and the personal. On one hand, he saw the potential strategic benefits of having a friendly Jewish state in the Middle East. On the other hand, he was influenced by the ideals of the French Revolution, which championed the rights of all people, including the Jews. This offer, while never actualized due to Napoleon's defeat, set the stage for the events that would unfold over the next 2 centuries. It was the first of many dominoes to fall, each one nudging the next, leading us to the situation we see today. Yet it's important to remember that this is not just a story of geopolitics and high-level negotiations, it's also a story of people, of their hopes, dreams, fears and struggles. This intriguing proposition was just the beginning of a series of events that would lead to the modern conflict. So join us as we delve deeper into this complex saga, unraveling the threads one by one. This is the story of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Fast forward to the early 20th century, as British forces wrestled control of Palestine from the Ottoman Turks. This wasn't just a simple changing of guards. Rather, it was a significant shift in geopolitics that would shape the destiny of the Middle East for the next century. The British control of Palestine from 1917 to 1919 was more than just a military campaign. It was a defining moment that set the stage for the future of the region. The British didn't just inherit an area of land, they took over a melting pot of cultures, religions and nationalities. It was a complex tapestry that would prove to be a challenge for any ruling power. In the midst of this intricate situation, the British government issued a short but monumental document in 1917. Known as the Balfour Declaration, it expressed Britain's support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This was a pivotal moment, a promise from one of the world's most powerful nations to support the Zionist cause. The Balfour Declaration didn't just affect the Jewish community, it had a profound impact on the Palestinians as well. The declaration, while acknowledging the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities, didn't recognize the political rights of the Palestinians. This oversight would become a source of tension and dispute in the years to come. The British control of Palestine and the Balfour Declaration were not just historical events. They were catalysts that set in motion a series of reactions that continue to this day. The British played a role in creating the State of Israel in 1948, a decision with far-reaching consequences. The echoes of these events are still heard in the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a testament to their enduring impact on the region's history. So, as we journey deeper into the complexities of this conflict, let's keep in mind the influence of these early 20th century decisions. For every action has a reaction, and in the Middle East, these reactions have shaped nations, defined identities, and continue to impact countless lives. The year 1948 saw the partition of British-occupied Palestine. This was a year of profound change, and a pivotal moment that would shape the course of history in the Middle East. The United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into 2 states, one Arab, one Jewish. The Jewish community accepted it, while the Arab nations rejected it. This decision sparked a war known as the Arab-Israeli War of 1948, or the War of Independence. This war led to the establishment of the State of Israel, a homeland for the Jewish people. However, it also marked the beginning of a protracted struggle for the Palestinian people, whose land was divided and whose lives were upended. The seeds of the modern Israeli-Palestinian conflict were sown in this turbulent time, a conflict that has since grown into a complex and deeply rooted issue. The implications of this division continue to reverberate today. The Six-Day War of 1967 is often regarded as the crucial turning point. This war, spurred by mounting tensions and territorial disputes, saw Israel seize control of the West Bank, East Jerusalem, the Gaza Strip, and other areas in just 6 days. This rapid occupation shifted the balance of power in the region dramatically and permanently. Israel's gains resulted in an increase of its land area by a staggering threefold. This territorial expansion also brought a large Palestinian population under Israeli control, creating a complex demographic and political challenge that persists to this day. The territories seized during this war, especially East Jerusalem, the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, have been at the heart of peace negotiations and remain key points of contention between Israelis and Palestinians. Israel's occupation during this war would have profound and lasting consequences. The first Israeli-Palestinian Accord, also known as the Oslo Accords, brought hope for peace in the 1990s. The historical backdrop of this agreement was filled with tension, strife, and conflict. But for a moment, the world held its breath as a glimmer of hope emerged on the horizon. The Oslo Accords, signed in 1993, marked the first face-to-face agreement between the government of Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization, or the PLO. This was a groundbreaking moment in the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, as it acknowledged the mutual legitimacy of both parties. For the first time, the PLO recognized Israel's right to exist, while Israel acknowledged the PLO as the representative of the Palestinian people. There were two main components to this agreement. The first was the establishment of a Palestinian self-governing authority within Gaza and Jericho in the West Bank. The second was a framework for negotiations on a permanent status agreement to be implemented within 5 years. However, the path to peace was not as straightforward as the Accords suggested. The agreement was riddled with ambiguities and lacked clear definitions on key issues, such as the future of Jerusalem, the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and the borders of a future Palestinian state. These unresolved issues led to a lack of trust between the two parties and ultimately impeded the successful implementation of the Accords. Furthermore, the agreement faced vehement opposition from both Israeli and Palestinian hardliners, who viewed it as a betrayal of their respective causes. Assassinations, terrorist attacks, and political upheavals followed, leading to a series of setbacks. Despite the challenges and the tumultuous journey, the Oslo Accords were a significant milestone in the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They laid the groundwork for future negotiations and provided a framework that still shapes the discourse today. The Oslo Accords were a crucial step towards peace, yet the path was far from smooth. The complexities and challenges of this process remind us that the road to peace is often fraught with obstacles, but it is a journey worth embarking upon. The turn of the millennium brought a new chapter as the Second Intifada erupted. This period, also known as the Al-Aqsa Intifada, marked a significant escalation in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It was sparked in September 2000, when tensions over the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem ignited a 5-year wave of violence that claimed the lives of thousands of Palestinians and Israelis. The Second Intifada was characterized by a marked increase in suicide bombings and other forms of violent resistance. In response, Israel implemented strict security measures, including the controversial construction of a separation barrier in the West Bank. This cycle of violence and retaliation further entrenched divisions, making the prospect of peace seem more elusive than ever. The violence gradually subsided by the end of 2005, but the scars of the Second Intifada run deep. The mutual distrust and animosity it fostered continue to shape the dynamics of the conflict. The Palestinian aspiration for statehood remains unfulfilled, and Israel's security concerns continue to fuel tension and conflict. In the aftermath of the Second Intifada, multiple attempts at peace negotiations have been made with varying degrees of success. However, the core issues of the conflict, including the status of Jerusalem, the right of return for Palestinian refugees, and the borders of a potential Palestinian state, remain unresolved. In the heart of the Middle East, amid the complexities of history and the realities of the present, the quest for a peaceful resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict continues. The echoes of the past reverberate in the challenges of the present, shaping the contours of an uncertain future. Today, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has erupted once more with ongoing struggles, negotiations, and aspirations for a peaceful resolution. The road ahead remains uncertain. As we conclude our journey through the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, we invite you to like and comment on this video. Share your thoughts, questions, and perspectives. Together we can foster understanding and dialogue in pursuit of a brighter future. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening exploration of one of the world's most challenging conflicts. Stay engaged, stay informed, and stay hopeful for a more peaceful tomorrow.